Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Febin V Mathew, and I'm an intern trainee at CyberSapiens United LLP. So, for today's session, let us take a look at the PowerSploit Framework, which is a PowerShell post-exploitation framework. Now, before diving deep into what a PowerSploit framework is or what it does, let us take a look at the contents for today's session. So, let us first discuss or have an overview of the PowerSploit framework, followed by why hackers use the PowerSploit framework and what are the advantages and features of using the PowerSploit framework, followed by a live demo. So now let us discuss or have an overview of the PowerSploit framework. So what do you mean by PowerSploit? So PowerSploit is a framework, or you can call it as an open source toolkit that is created by security researchers to help red teamers and penetration testers to gain unauthorized access onto Windows systems and to gain control over them. So this framework would include a collection of PowerShell modules that can be used to perform post-exploitation techniques on Windows systems, and these techniques would include privilege escalation, lateral movement, data exfiltration, and persistence. Now let us take a look at few of the modules and categories that are present in this framework. So as you can see here, we have 8 categories that fall under the PowerSploit framework. So they are code execution, exfiltration, recon, antivirus bypass, prevesc, mayhem, persistence, and script modification. So let us take a look at few of the modules that are present in this framework. So the first one we have is invoke shellcode. So this is a module that falls under code execution, and it is a module that can be used to inject shellcode into a remote process or create a new process with the injected shellcode. Now we have invoke mimikatz, which falls under the category of exfiltration, and it is a module that can be used to extract usernames, passwords, and sensitive information from memory on a Windows machine. Then we have invoke reflective PE injection, which falls under the category of code execution again, and it is a module that can be used to inject a PE file directly into memory bypassing disk-based detection methods. Then we have invoke token manipulation. So this is a module that can be used to manipulate user tokens to gain elevated privileges on a Windows machine. And then we have power up, which falls under the category of prevesc, which can be used by red teamers and hackers to check for privilege escalations along with some weaponization vectors. Now let us take a look at why hackers use the PowerSploit framework. So as you all know, the PowerSploit framework contains a collection of PowerShell modules that can be used to execute post-exploitation techniques on Windows systems to gain unauthorized access. So this tool is really powerful, and it is a flexible tool that hackers can use to perform a wide range of attacks on Windows environments. And since this tool is performed by penetration testers and red teamers, it would include a variety of features, and such techniques can be used to evade detection and compromise systems. So as you can see in the diagram, here we have the categories that fall under the PowerSploit framework. Now let us take a look at the advantages and features of using the PowerSploit framework. So one of the main advantages of using the PowerSploit framework is that the PowerSploit framework mainly focuses on the PowerShell. So PowerShell, as you all know or would have heard of, is a scripting language that is built into Windows, into each and every Windows operating system, which means that attackers can use or take advantage of the PowerShell and the PowerSploit framework, and they can bypass security measures that are designed to detect and block suspicious activity. So here are the features that are in the PowerSploit framework. So it allows the user to run scripts on the target system, and it bypasses antivirus and extracts data from the target machine and listens to the microphone on the target machine. So these are the features that are present in the PowerSploit framework, and here are the references that I've taken and that I've sourced my presentation from. So now let us move on to the live demo wherein I'll be using Kali Linux as my host operating system and Windows 7 as my target system, and I'll be performing a DLL injection wherein we could gain a Metasploit shell after performing the attack. So now let us move on to the Kali machine. Enter your password. So here I'm using my Kali machine as my host system, and I'm using Windows 7 as my target system, since Windows 7 is vulnerable and it is vulnerable to MS-17 attack. So here let us open our terminal, and now let us run the PowerSploit command. In case if you don't have the PowerSploit command, you can install it in your Kali by using the command apt-get space PowerSploit. So here I'll just run the PowerSploit module, and you can see, so these are the categories that I spoke about that is present in the PowerSploit module. Now I can head to desktop. Now we would need to create a payload by using msfVenom. So msfVenom is a tool that is built into Metasploit, by which we'll be using it, and then we'll be creating a payload. So msfVenom -p for payload, and since we are targeting Windows, it is a Windows system, so Windows x64. So this is the version of Windows, and Metasploit reverse HTTPS, or you can go for TCP, and lhost. So lhost stands for the IP address of Kali machine followed by the L port, wherein you can give any port number followed by -f. And since we are creating a DLL payload and injecting a DLL file onto the target machine, I'm creating a DLL payload, and this is my file. So I'm creating a DLL payload. So now you can see the payload is created. Now we need to transfer this payload to the target machine, that is Windows 7. So to do that, you can type in Python 3 -m http server http.server and 8000. So this would open a listener, and then we can go to the target machine, go to Microsoft Edge, and just type in the IP address of Kali followed by the port number that you have given it over here. Now as you can see, you have the Windows DLL, which is the same as in the Kali machine. Now in real-time scenarios, reteam hackers, or the security researchers would obfuscate the payload, and then they would try to inject the payload into the target machine. But since it takes a lot of time, here in my Windows machine, I've just turned off the antivirus and the Windows Defender, and I'm going to download Windows DLL onto my machine. So as you can see, I've downloaded the file. I'll just show you it. It's present here. I'll just move it to desktop. Now head over to Kali. You can close this. Now what you need to do is run the PowerSploit command, and here you need to transfer these files to the target system. So type in python 3 -m http.server and 8000 again, and open the listener. Go to your target machine and just try to access PowerSploit from here. So once you've seen these files, what you can do is you can go to your Kali terminal and split the screen, run msf console. Since you've created your own payload, we would need to use exploit multi-handler for this. So let us wait until msf console loads. So now msf console is loaded. Now since you've created your payload, you need to use exploit multi-handler, and you need to set your payload to Windows Windows x64 Metasploit reverse TCP, and then show options. So here you need to set your L host, and L port is already set to 444. So set L host, set your L host to your Kali's IP address. So this would be 192.168.89.140, and you can just set your L port as well. And here you can just run the exploit. So here you can see you have started a reverse TCP handler on your IP address and the port number. So now head over to Windows 7 64-bit. Now open PowerShell. So as you open PowerShell, now the first thing that you need to do is run this command. So this command is used to inject the DLL script onto your PowerShell. So as you can see, I've copied it. Now the only thing that you need to change here is your IP address. So change the IP address to your Kali machine's IP address. Make sure everything is right and enter. Now you can type in get. Okay, so now what you can do is you can go here, you can invoke your DLL injection into a process ID. So here what you need to do is you can run any application. So here I'll be running calculator. So calculator is running in the background. I'll open another PowerShell terminal, and here I'll give the command SPS, that is to know the process IDs of the applications that are running in Windows 7. So here you can see that calc. So calc is the calculator application that's running, and the process ID is 3892. So what I'll do here is I'll just erase this 3892 and I'll copy this, head over to PowerShell, I copy that, move it to the side, and then I'll just drag this windows.dll injection file onto my PowerShell. So you can see here, and I'll just run it. So once it is run, you can see there are no errors and you're getting. So now head over to Kali Linux and you can see you have got a Metasploit shell. Now you can type in get UID to know whose system is this. So the server name is binary exploit. So if you need a shell, you can type it, command a shell. Now you've got the Windows 7 access to Windows 7. Now if you type who am I, you can see that it is binary exploit. So if you go back, go back, go back, now if you go here, okay, dir, okay, so this is the C, this is the local disk C directory, and you can see the files over here. So you can head over to Windows 7 and you can just type in who am I, so binary exploit, and here it's binary exploit. So now you've gained Metasploit shell and now you have access to the Windows 7 machine. So this is how red teamers and attackers and hackers would use PowerSploit module or PowerSploit framework to gain unauthorized access onto Windows system. And from here you can migrate or you can dump credentials by using invoke Mimikatz payload, by using invoke Mimikatz module and all the other modules. And this is how you can gain access to Windows 7 machine. So this is it for my presentation and for the live demo. I hope you all enjoyed the class. See you. Thank you for the session and see you once again.